Hello, happy Stonewall. I have the wrong equipment for this right now, hence the lighting issues and the sound issues. But I was supposed to speak at a Stonewall event today in Ohio that canceled, and I already drove out to get to the location, essentially. And while I was in the area, I thought I would check out the Toledo Museum of Art. And while I'm here, I then also figured I might as well just record the speech that I had written, because it was very important that I read this to some people in Ohio today, and unfortunately did not get the chance. So I figured I would just find an area with an okay backdrop and then knock that one out. So thank you for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Hello. Thank you all for coming to this event. My name is Bree Taylor. I am blessed by she, her pronouns, and I am proudly and quite openly transgender. After all, why wouldn't I be? Truly knowing your gender and discovering who you are is a beautiful form of connection to the universe, and one of the greatest powers of all, self-actualization. I'm the founder and executive director of the nonprofit organization TransUnity Coalition. You likely haven't heard of us because we are new, with things just coming together last August, pre-election, at a time when the future of opportunity felt very different than the America we are seeing today. We have a table presence here. If you see what the administration is doing to the transgender community of America right now, we ask that you stop by and learn more about ways to help us, as we do a lot. It does not matter if you are trans or non-binary or an ally or unsure, but you have an important part to play in shaping the future and safety of our community in this country. We all do. I am writing this message with hopes that you share a moment to listen and understand a little bit about these three things: my team, what we do, and what I do. I need you to understand. We have multiple teams across the country in addition to Ohio, but our Ohio team, while new as well, is one of my finest. They carry the true spirit of Ohio, values of humility, bravery, and community. They see Ohio becoming crueler, but they do not flee. They stand to fight like those of you here today. But the uphill battle they face cannot be won alone. They need allies. They need you. And I need you to understand. In April, many of us were at the Ohio State House educating our elected officials about the harm the proposed budget bill, House Bill 96, set for a deadline to sign at Governor DeWine's desk in just a couple of days, will have towards transgender Ohioans. In May, several of us spent an entire week of senatorial committee delivering testimony upon testimony, story upon story, staring down the Republican barrel of a legislative shotgun. This was not simply for show or political theater, but for our survival. I need you to understand. In this one bill alone, we face the risk of seeing children who make use of public shelters to get away from the streets being kicked back to the curb simply because they are trans, punishing not only the circumstances of their early queerness, but also their upbringing, and particularly those who were already rejected from their homes due to being trans to begin with. We face the risk of seeing Medicaid coverage gutted from those who require medically and professionally backed transitional services, simply because they've been following the clinical status quo and still need to do so now when the administration and conservative states are pushing for a discriminatory culture war. We face the risk of forced censorship of LGBTQ+ books, discrimination of trans men in public bathrooms, and state-codified legal erasure of transgender identities, LGBTQ flag banning, and this is all just in a single bill alone. And despite our efforts and the efforts of other nonprofits these past couple of months, the Republicans in the State House ultimately paid no mind to these harmful attacks, but rather they took delight in it. If you are listening, there is one last thing you can all do, one final attempt. On Monday morning, we need you to dial 614-466-3555 to call into the governor's desk and ask that he veto these anti-trans provisions. This is the last chance, and I need you to understand. It has only been 5 months since the return of the bigot in chief, and these attacks are only beginning to grow. Every loss for them is a signal that the people can fight back, that America will not stand for liberty and justice for some, but every victory to them is a sign that we are okay with it. That despite only having this control due to manipulating the districts through gerrymandering, or despite the system affording absolutely no time for your average worker to take a day off to engage with their officials, or despite how readily obvious we can all see that these harmful incremental steps are designed in the name of prejudice and inequality, that somehow they still pretend as though we are consenting to our own demise. And if that is something that you do not consent to, I need to ask you a favor. I need your help. If you have a phone, take it out and create an event for Monday, June 30th at 8 a.m. If you have a piece of paper, write this down. If you're listening, remember this. That phone number again, 614-466-3555. Call Governor DeWine. Tell them to veto these anti-trans provisions. Be respectful, but be firm. 200,000 Ohioans depend on your help. And finally, I now need to tell you what I do. I do not wish to overwhelm you, but I want you to understand my role. Because I oversee every state chapter that we have. I actively engage with our community all over the nation. Battles like this one being initiated by the American GOP day in and day out. They cannot come up with innovative or progressive solutions, so they must scapegoat a community. They must carve out a new enemy to distract us all from the systematic oppression, from their dumbing down of America, from the wealthy becoming wealthier while the average has less and less each day, not only in value, but in freedom and in autonomy. All the while, a fascist presence is growing in this country, one that mirrors scarily the rise of Nazism during the late Weimar Republic. And the GOP are all for it so long as it advances their agenda, thinking that they can tame a beast once it's far too late. So many communities are being marginalized through this destruction. But today, on the 56th anniversary of the Stonewall Revolution, I need to talk about America's transgender community. I need to talk about the stories that I hear, the fears of our people, what will only continue to happen without your recruitment into this fight. So many communities are being marginalized through this destruction. So many. They will attack and bully our children, who will slowly take away their own lives. They will relish in our demoralized spirit and see more opportunity to strike. They will take away our bodily autonomy and our right to medical care, placing many in the crossfire, then put the blame back on us. They will make us a crime to exist and claim that the service to the greater good is to imprison us, wipe us out, and hunt us down. I say this from my traveling advocacy of all over the country, that this is not hyperbole, but this is already beginning, and I desperately need you to understand. We need you to understand. And yet I say and do all that I say and do because I know the only truth that I will ever need to know. I know who I am. I am a proud woman. I am strong. I am defiant against this oppression. And through it all, I am still full of all the joy of who I am and how I live my life. They can never take that away from me. And they can never take away from the members of our teams. And to those of you here listening today, never forget that they can never take away that from you. And that is something that we need to make them understand. So from myself and the entire team at TransUnity Coalition, may joy find and empower you on this Stonewall 2025. Thank you so much.